Joining the conversation now is Steve Schmidt, my former colleague, someone who has worked for the Bush family. Steve, just talk about this moment for the Bush family losing its patriarch 8 months after losing its matriarch, and just how different this moment is. You see, I don't know, I guess we call them the deep state now, assembled inside the halls of the Capitol to honor the 41st president. And I think at the core, it might be because he honored and valued them.
I think it's an enormously important moment for the country, Nicole, when we look at the life of George Herbert Walker Bush, this titanic figure, this American statesman, a giant. His life spanned 3/4 of the American century, born in 1924. The man who presided over the fall of the Berlin Wall and the collapse of the Soviet Empire. A person who was a peerless wartime commander-in-chief. Not since FDR did you see such competence in the Oval Office with the deployment of the United States military into harm's way. A figure of decency and goodness. Somebody who went to work every day with one goal in mind, to make his country more prosperous and its people more secure. To make the country better for the Americans not yet born. And it's a remarkable life. When we think about 2018, I think it stands mentioning that this marks the death of the youngest combat pilot in the Pacific theater of the Second World War at age 94. The passing of the last of the World War II generation as President of the United States. And when we ponder our politics of division, its vulgarity, its cruelty, what George Herbert Walker Bush is being remembered for this week isn't a tweet or isn't a press release or nothing much more than his fundamental character, his decency. And for a long time in this country, we've been told around our politics that, well, character doesn't matter so much. But what we celebrate in this country at this hour is the celebration of character, of virtue. And all of the virtues that define this man's life are fundamentally the virtues that are necessary for the sustainment and prosperity of a great nation.
Steve Schmidt, I think it's fair to say that this moment in our politics is hard on the Bush family and people that served them. With that being said, Donald Trump has exhibited he has had some respectful words for George H.W. Bush, and it's just been handed to me that the Trumps are expected to pay their respects at the Capitol tonight. This seems to me to be George H.W. Bush's last gift to the office of the presidency, to lift Donald Trump up. Well, this is an office with so much majesty around it. When we watch, as John Meacham said earlier, the state, the celebration of state, the remembrance of this life, the majesty. This is one of 44 human beings who has served as President of the United States in the history of the American Republic. He did so in consequential times. He gave his full measure to the country. He conducted himself with decency and dignity. And so in this hour of vulgarity, we look at the remembrance of his life, and I think it's a reflection back into the country that though they may be missing from our political class, the virtues of decency and goodness are on display and exhibited every minute of every hour of every day in America. When he talked about the 1,000 points of light, what he was saying is that across all the country, from the inner city to our most rural towns, there are Americans doing great things, doing decent things, doing good things. And he was a man who I think Americans understood typified the best of all of us, the best of all of our capacity for decency and goodness.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.